All right, here we go. TJRS, little 1 week sabbatical. But we are back. Spring is sprung. It's there. John Riggins, Superfly, still got that hair.
Yeah, all the above. I was just thinking that we did take a week off, and I was counting it up when I came in this morning. I think that we started, in late August, early September, so we've riffed off about 6 straight months, Todd, every week laying it in. Once a week, which for me is, that's like I'm borderline overworked at once a week. But speaking of once a week, overworked, you obviously have been overworked, so you're coming back from, that's the reason we didn't do a show, because the main player of the show, the guy that runs everything, Todd, was on a little vacay, so...
decided to take a little golf sojourn down to Orlando, Florida. I got to admit, it was 84 to 90 degrees every single day.
And you loved it.
Loved every minute.
84 to 90?
84 to 90. Couple days, no humidity. No humidity.
On the Gulf?
No.
Well, I guess you're inland.
No, we're right in the middle. You're inland. There was
Florida.
It was kind of windy. That was the only downside. It helped cooled it off when it got to 90.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's one of those weird deals, isn't it, where you go from some place that's been cold all winter, so you're looking for warmer weather. And then all of a sudden, you get 90-degree weather, which some people would go, oh, God, this is too hot. I need a little cooler weather. So, but not for you. It worked out perfectly.
Absolutely perfection.
And so you came back, and I got the impression that you actually needed a few days off to recover from your few days off. Well, that's the problem as
with these vacations. The little older you get, you're not as young and as free-spirited and recuperate the way that you used to. But I will tell you this, 6 straight days of golf, that'll wear your butt out. I don't care what age you are.
Don't ask me why I was thinking about it. Somehow it went through my mind playing in Bobby Mitchell's old golf court or golf tournament we used to have at Lansdowne every year, and you had all the Hall of Famers
the Bobby
there and
Mitchell
all that.
Classic.
And it was going through my mind, and I'm thinking, how the hell did I make it through 18 holes of golf? Now that was just one day. I can't, it's just like I don't play golf, but I know that because you came in for the office for the first time yesterday, and you hadn't been here in over a week.
Right.
And I've had this happen to me in the past, where you've gone. Well, whenever my wife's father had purchased a place in San Jose, which is basically the airport you fly into where you go into Cabo, San Jose, Cabo Los San Lucas. And so I've been, you go down there and you come back, and it's like, okay, you don't know where to start, right? You're completely, what was I doing when I left? And I mean, but what's really bad, Todd, when you get to my age, you wake up in the morning every morning and you have the same feeling. Like, seriously, I can't figure out what to do now because the weather's starting to get warmer. I've got a lot of outside stuff to do at the yard, and it's like I was gonna reseed a little bit because some of the reseeding I did this fall, I let somebody else do it. I thought I'd give them a shot. I knew it was a big mistake. I think maybe we might have talked about this when I saw the guy out there with the reseeder, reseeding while he's walking along, looking and talking, whatever.
Multitasking?
Multitasking, which I'm thinking, I don't think that cell phone had anything to do with
it. You didn't pay for that?
I did not pay. You know what? He might have tried to charge me extra for him watching his cell phone. Anyway, so I've got all this, this other work. And now I'm trying to think because I'm going to go next week. We're going to go for a little bit, and we're going to go down to Sarasota, which will be in the ballpark, not that far.
Not that far from Orlando.
That far. And, I'm looking forward to that because I didn't realize at the time because I kind of thought, I've been kind of, when your wife wants you to go on do something, well, you probably can't remember because it's been since a while. So anyway, but I'm kind of torn because this is the worst time of the year to leave if you do yard work because it's when everything starts to happen. The sun comes out, grass starts to grow. You come home and, it's like you got Abraham Lincoln waiting for you at home. Everything's just grown out of control. So it's one of those deals where, where you're going to go because you got to go along to get along type of deal. But in the back of my mind, well, what am I going to do in Sarasota, Florida? Well, I did a little homework. That ain't a bad place to go fishing, Todd. So I'm thinking, hey, things completely turned as soon as I found that out. Well, you're right. It's on the Gulf, and you're literally on the water. And they have that area, I think there's called Sarasota Bay, which is a big estuary where there's all kinds of fish in there. I mean, all kinds of different species of fish. You got snook, which I've caught one that was about this big years ago down in where was it? The place down by Cancun in that area. Belize. I caught one down in Belize, but it was a little, so I kind of, because I'm thinking in my mind, I've never caught a snook, and I went, well, no, I have caught a snook, but you can't hardly count it as a snook. But anyway, so they've got that. Just to mention, tarpon are in that area, which I don't know if you know what a tarpon is. I mean, and they get to be huge. So
big sport fish, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I've got the rest of the week to kind of go home, and this is what really gets Lisa Marie is that she won't see me now for the next 3 nights. I'll be downstairs working with my equipment, because what happens is every time this happens, I haven't fished. The virus. I haven't fished in so long. There's all these knots you need to have to tie. Todd, I forgot them all. You got to do it on a regular basis. So I've got a little homework to do. The other thing I wanted to mention was yesterday I had my first in-house massage. Yeah, I had somebody come out and give me a massage. My neck's been driving me nuts lately, so I brought somebody in.
Did you check in with Deshaun Watson? Get any tidbits? Get any leads?
I didn't even think about calling him up. But then again, I'm not going to fly anybody in. And, of course, Lisa Marie's just right upstairs. Probably wouldn't have worked out to have the same kind of massage maybe that he was looking for. But, no, I brought a masseuse in. And I thought of you because I'm thinking, because when I got done, it's like the massage I got yesterday, when you talk about deep tissue, he was leaving fingerprints on the massage table. It was it was serious deep tissue. It was you get what I would consider a patty cake massage. It's like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. This is where you wished you weren't born. Oh, you were feeling the pain. But I could also feel, it's almost like in goes the good air, out goes the bad. I could feel him pushing out. And I think I have a little improvement today. So I'm going to have it again I can't do it next week because I'll be gone. But when I get back, I think I'm going to try and do this on a regular basis and see what happens, because I'm telling you, I'm getting to the point where the neck is one of those deals where I like to, when I'm driving, when you get out on the interstate here, 495, and you want to, get over into the left lane, you look in your rearview mirror, but inevitably, I've got an older car, I don't have that concave mirror on the side that actually allows you to see literally, straight off out the driver's side window. There's always a what I would consider a blind spot. Mm-hmm. It's particularly when you get these little short cars that you see nowadays.
Yeah.
They're like go-karts almost. So I have a tendency to real quick glance over my left shoulder through the back passenger's window behind the driver's seat, just to make sure that lane is clear. Well, guess what? When you got a stiff neck, that's a problem, and really it is. I mean, it's a safety problem. So now you got to turn your whole body, and, it hurts and all that other stuff. So anyway, I'm working that out. So anyway, Todd, we've had a few things go on. I don't know, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Burgundy and Gold, or do you want to start with the NFL in general?
Let's start with the NFL in general and work our way down as it impacts the Washington football team, because when this was announced, I had seen some hints of this, and that ABC ESPN was leading the way as far as re-upping the TV rights for the NFL is what we're going to get into here, because... And
this is all actually the Walt Disney, correct?
It is the Disney company. Yeah. Yes, it is. The numbers are staggering and mind-blowing, which, for a lot of folks, for a variety of reasons, from the anthem controversy to players kneeling to TV ratings and the pandemic have dropped a little bit, but the power of the league is as powerful as it's ever been. And
at least with the TV.
And the symbiotic relationship of what TV represents with this league and the culture. Our culture as a society and what we value based on these numbers, which players get all you can, 100%, because everybody's making a ton of money here. So the fact that they effectively increase these deals, you hear from 105% to 108% increase in.
So that's like doubling.
Yes,
doubling
it is doubling, which doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I've never heard of this before, but the length of the deal, 11 years, and it doesn't start until 2023. Now, the symbiotic relationship of TV and the NFL, because John, your generation in the 70s and 80s really is the TV generation that built this league, and now
they got it started.
The superstars and that in teams, because as you grew up, how many options did you have to watch an NFL football game?
One.
One.
And it was the same team every Sunday.
And it wasn't necessarily because you lived in Northeast Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
And the only station we could get was CBS. At that time, NBC were doing the AFL games. Where
Right.
the Chiefs were obviously, they were Kansas City Chiefs were AFL team. They're 120 miles away. Unless the atmosphere was correct, I mean, just a
And
perfect
literally the atmosphere. He's not talking about the atmosphere at the stadium. He's talking about the television signal path.
Well, you got to remember, that's the thing I appreciate as I get older. I'm going, man, I was like living in, the Stone Ages. Because it was always, if you wanted to get something, it was the pipe wrench with the antenna. Somebody open the window. Okay, turn it a little more.
Right.
No, back a little bit.
Right.
Okay, you got it. Hold it right there. If you wanted to watch the Chiefs, that we'd had done. Well, we got, it came through WIBW, Channel 13 in Topeka was the CBS affiliate, and that's what you got. So guess who we got to watch every weekend? The St. Louis Cardinals. And that was almost like mind-numbing, like the St. Louis Cardinals.
Right.
This is great.
Right.
So basically, I didn't watch much football when I was a kid.
So as the original TV broadcast platforms and the networks, as they grew and expanded, and they saw the power of the league and where it was heading, and it was, pretty much brand new, introducing the sport to millions of Americans across the country. Fast forward with the advent of cable television that makes it more accessible for everybody just from a distribution platform, a quality platform. From cable, it goes to satellite, right? And you got satellite, and that opened up new channels, new opportunities. You could get, you could buy the Sunday NFL DirecTV package. You could have the Red Zone channel.
Yeah, that's 20 years ago.
25
when
years ago.
When you could buy that NFL ticket on.
And so now you got access to 100 million households through that. And you can pretty much program and get what games you want, all of the games. Mm-hmm. You got your over-the-air free, and you're given market where you live. And now the game changer is streaming. So
what's that? Tell me exactly what that means.
So streaming is the way that most program is going to be consumed in the next 20 years. Take Netflix.
So now it's coming through, it's digitally delivered.
It's the internet. Right. It's the internet. You're getting your program, you're getting what you want on your terms at your time. So think of Netflix, think of Hulu, think of Amazon, and all the programming that is morphed into that. Look at all the people that are nominated for all your various awards now in video categories from.
Well, actually, I think you're talking about, what do you call it? Academy Awards. People that are doing films on, for, say, Netflix or Amazon. Those movies are now they don't have to be made in Hollywood anymore.
That's right. That's
or by a Hollywood production company.
It's a whole new paradigm shift. And the difference being is streaming and the internet is the ultimate game changer. You can get it on your phone. You can get it. So none of the other previous technologies, as amazing as they were in their respective times, are pervasive as what streaming now means in the lives of Americans. And it's only going to increase. So these deals are built with that in mind. They still need the legacy TV platforms. They realize that for the grain of America, for our generation.
Legacy TV program?
Being your traditional over-the-air networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, that still have your free over-the-air, right? So if you moved in and you decide,
I don't want to be a part of all of this.
So if you don't cut the cord, and the cord cutters are the ones that are people that used to have either cable television or satellite, and say, no, now I'm going to go on AT&T TV, or I'm going to do YouTube TV, or I'm going to do the Fire Stick, or whatever. Those are the cord cutters. So the traditional platforms of you live in a respective town, city, county, what have you, and you get your over-the-air TV signal, which the NFL carries, Fox on Sundays, CBS. One of them gets a doubleheader. Monday Night Football,
and
Sunday Night Football, but that's free.
But that's your hometown team that you're going to watch.
That's your hometown team.
If you're a transplanted fan of the Chicago Bears and you live in Washington and you want a free, you're not going to see the Chicago Bears unless they're playing the Washington football team.
And unless you are buying one of the, DirecTV is now out of the game.
That's what I said. It's not going to be free.
That's right. So the point being is, as this 11-year $105 billion deal takes into account the future. And the future is
105
streaming.
billion. That's a tenth of a trillion. We're starting to talk like GNP.
When I quoted these numbers to some of the guys I was on the golf trip with, including Joe Jacoby, they said, "No, you got it wrong." They said, "No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not 11 billion a year, Todd. It's $1 billion. It's 1.1." And I said, "Guys, no." I said, "Here's the article. It's more than double." And so, as the example, in this new deal, the game changer for all of them is they all have the rights to stream the games on their respective brands. So ABC, ESPN, NBC on the Peacock, they just launched their Peacock network. CBS has their. Everybody has a streaming digital play-in platform that they now will also get to stream these games on. And Amazon is the real game changer. They paid, I want to make sure I get this number exactly right. They paid, where's my number?
Now, this is for their rights to stream games.
Only Thursday night.
On Thursday night.
Only Thursday night. So Amazon to stream Thursday night football.
So they're going to take the place of NBC?
Yes. NBC got out of Thursday night football, so it'll be exclusively Amazon TV with the exception of the NFL Network. Still has some legacy rights. I think they have to do 6 or 8 games a year per their contracts with operators. But Amazon will be the destination. For 17 games a year, $1.32 billion a year. For 17 games, Thursday night only. Now, you think about the power of that and what that did to push everything over the top. And as we talked about, the perfect storm of streaming, of consumer habits. And
let me ask you a question. Perfect storm of consumer habits. Keep that point there. But the fact, this is not unlike Fox did 20 years ago, correct? What Amazon did, they entered the market and drove prices sky high.
And Fox took those rights from CBS, if you remember, in 1994.
Exactly, because they had NFC.
And they were launching the Fox network.
Exactly. So my point, I'm asking you, obviously Amazon's following that same trail that Fox created. But was that what they did? Was that to scare everybody else into thinking Amazon might gobble up a spot on Sunday and take out one of the other major networks?
And they don't necessarily want that to happen yet because they know they need the legacy TV platforms of ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox.
And why would that be, do you think?
Because of the grain of America and the people the older folks that aren't going to use Amazon.
I got you.
And from critical mass, still having these games on over-the-air TV is still a big deal. Mm-hmm. It's chipping away each year, and there's less and less, and streaming's going like this. And so that is happening.
So Amazon will have to put together their own broadcast crews then, right?
Well, they...
Hello, good afternoon. Hello, it's great here at the stadium. It's a nice frosty afternoon at Soldier Field.
Riggo's.
I got to start working on
I got to get that tape over to the boys at Amazon.
Yeah, I got it. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. They're right down in Crystal City, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. Well, Amazon, they farmed out their productions the last year when they have done games on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
They have farmed it out to either some of the CBS crews or NBC. So there's still talk as to whether or not they're going to form their own division and do all that their own, or continue to
farm it out.
Exactly, being the specialist that it is. But again, for the top 50 most watched TV broadcasts of 2020, out of the top 50, 32 were NFL games.
That's amazing.
10 of them.
But still, the ratings were down, even though they led. So it means people weren't. This is what's weird. During the pandemic, people weren't watching as much TV.
Yeah, which again gets into the separation of the way people are consuming media through Netflix and all, because that's not part of the TV broadcast necessarily of how it's with Nielsen ratings.
Oh, I see. So in other words, there's plenty of people watching TV. Per se.
Well, they're watching video, so it's not even fair to call it TV anymore.
Okay. So in other words, their entertainment dollar, if you will, is going in a different direction than what do you call it, cable TV or what have you.
So 32 out of the top 50, but keep in mind that the other 10, which takes you up to 42, were because of the presidential political debates and vice president debate. 10 of those.
Every 4-year deal.
Which you throw those out, and the NFL's probably are taking those 10 slots as well. But it's the power of the league. The other financial dynamics, John. So as the NFL players, and the benefit to them on this is, so in the collective bargaining agreement, they get 47% of the agreed upon revenues. In this new deal, per the contract, it goes up, I believe, to 48.5%. So that's 1.5% increase. Well, you're talking real money here now.
So now you're talking over $50 billion.
Yeah.
That goes towards them.
And we haven't even talked about the gambling revenue that is now going to be flowing into the league, which is the state of New Jersey in enacting internet gambling through their apps, et cetera. In last fall, they were taking in almost $1 billion a month. One state. Now, I'm not saying all that was NFL, but I guarantee it's a large chunk of it.
Yeah, well, there's plenty hockey.
So
basketball.
Between fantasy sports, gambling, and here's the other thing: the league, they collect fees just on the data. So for your fantasy sports,
I mean, in other words, who's actually consuming
that's worth billions of dollars.
That's Google, isn't it? That's where Google makes their money.
Well, this is a couple of firms that let's call them the official statisticians or the data experts of, so that you can play all these games, so you can gamble legitimately, so you can have fantasy football, so that again, the players get a piece of that, the league and the owners get a piece of that. So the money is extraordinary. It's staggering. It's going to be. We talked about Patrick Mahomes and was it $450 million?
Yeah, I was going to say it was close to $500 million.
That's going to look like one of the
Well,
greatest
you think that there's
deals.
players that are going to be signing 10-year contracts that are over $1 billion?
It's hard to fathom, but everything can't keep going up like this. The other leagues,
we've been predicting that for years and
yes,
been wrong
we have.
for years.
Yes, we have.
Keep thinking it's finally hit its zenith and it's going to start coming down.
The NBA is seeing, all these different revenue streams is what has been the game changer, though. Period. Between gambling and streaming, and because
if everything would have stayed the same, it maybe would have hit a plateau. But everything just keeps hitchhiking off the last greatest invention. Well,
there's cultural changes too, John, and the younger folks today, they don't watch the same stuff. They don't consume the same stuff. From sitcoms to over-the-air TV and
right. I mean, actually, stuff like what, TikTok?
Right.
My daughter. I keep telling her though, you can't be on TikTok because state secrets are going.
Straight to China.
Exactly. What's his name? Chi, whatever his name is. He's going to know all he needs to know about John Riggins. I don't want him to know all that stuff.
The military is banned from having the application because.
Yeah, so there's something to that.
Yes,
but my point is that, here you got a 16-year-old female, and that's the kind of stuff that she consumes. And this is what I don't get. And this is what kind of gets kind of weird. I guess maybe, obviously, they're paying as if this is going to continue. But somehow, how baseball once was the American pastime. Football has surpassed it. It would seem to me that the rate that this is going and what their projections are, I'm kind of like, I don't know. Are young kids, maybe they are. They're that crazy about football, because at the same time, the talent pool, the middle class Americans that provide the talent pool for the NFL and other sports leagues, particularly football, really, that's what I'm talking about, is because of the rap that football is getting as the danger involved for younger. I don't know where's the talent pool going to come from?
That's where
but once again, the money gets high enough. They're going to be.
We may see the great apex, though, John, because your point is 100% perfect timing. Football at the youth level is way down.
Exactly. It's contracting.
Way down.
Kind of like golf.
And in high school and some of these others,
Well, your old high school, I think it might be your old high school in Manassas. One of the schools out there, one of the schools in Manassas, they completely did away with their football. Nobody went out for football. Guess what? They play soccer.
That's right. That's right.
So if you see a shift like that, now at the same time, college football, that there's still a huge demand for college football. So like I said, it's kind of one of those, which way is this going to go? Because is a talent pool starting to, is the spigot starting to get shut off at the college? As long as the colleges keep getting fed, which is the minor leagues of the NFL as far as football goes, then the football is always going to have a talent pool. But that's the thing to watch, is what's going on with the colleges.
No question. And the CTE, I think a study is just being released. I just saw the headlines on it. That is really really not going to be good for the league.
And and I didn't mean to cut you. Well, go ahead.
Well, it's about CTE, and I don't know if we'll talk more about it in these next couple of weeks here. But it's a devastating report, and with the from Kenny Stabler to Junior Seau to a bunch of players that donated their brains, and it's not gonna be good for the league as far as that goes, because the body of evidence now through all these years, and the TV generation that built this game to such a national pastime that dominates by any metric, and especially where the money's involved now, and the heroes of the game, and you're seeing the long-term effects of what it does, and it's not pretty.
My guess is this, that they've got to buy time. The league has to buy time, because the people that you're talking about played during when the NFL was the Wild Wild West. Those are the brains you're talking about that are being examined. You're not talking about current players.
Right.
And if you notice, how and the game has changed so much. It's not the same game, and I'm not complaining, or I'm not criticizing it one way or the other. I'm just saying for people to know it's not the same game, and it's all about. And the league wisely has decided to actually protect the actually people that produce the game, which are the players down on the field. I think, and you watch, the league will at some point in time. It's going to take, like I said, they have to buy time. But eventually some of the current players that started, let's just take the year, that's 20 years ago. Let's go back to 10 years. In the last 10 years, I think you've seen significant rule changes. I know there's been, incrementally along the way, there's always been rule changes. But you see how strict anything around the quarterback, boy, right away, they are on top of that, fines, all this stuff. You're going to have to wait and,
Well, what's the other biggest thing that we hear every Sunday? Helmet to helmet, helmet to helmet, head to head.
Or even shoulder to helmet. Any kind of blow to the head is going to be outlawed.
And this all ties into it.
So, exactly.
Saying, look at what we did. We changed the rules.
Exactly. And actually, based on what I'm thinking from a scientific standpoint, you should see CTE, you should see that on the graph, you should start to see that come down with these modern players. And that's because without it, and you're also going to keep seeing, as we do now, the game. I mean, I've looked back in some of the old players back when I played. You might have had 20 passes in a game. 25 was, if you threw the ball 25 times back in the 70s, hey, you were slinging the rock. Pittsburgh this year, over 50 times a game automatic. So
25 today, something's wrong.
Exactly. You've had a bad day. It must have been windy.
And I don't care if you were 22 out of 25.
Right.
Something's wrong.
So you're seeing. I keep thinking that at some point in time, and they have some of this stuff at the amateur level, but don't they have 7-on-7 tournaments or stuff like this?
They sure do.
So believe me, there's people that are a hell of a lot smarter than you and me thinking about the future of the NFL. But at the same time, if you sanitize it too much, you're going to always have to, I would think, create the illusion that it's a dangerous sport. There's something, that people still, I think that, there's still a bit of caveman, Neanderthal, and everybody. They still like to see that big hit. The players like to see that big hit. But you know what? You can't really have the big hit and still continue to enjoy the game. In other words, the game will actually, with the big hit, you got to do away with the big hit. The very thing that I think a lot of people are attracted to the game for, because that's what's causing all the problems. Guess.
You guys were the Roman gladiators.
Trying to have it two ways.
Yeah, that's right.
Except different, and I told this to somebody just the other day, is that, unless it is some depth, you got a broken leg, but it isn't like, okay, well, where are you going to bury him? That's not a problem. We need something over here. We need an offensive tackle over here. In other words, they're not out there and there's no, well, let's go feed him to the lions. It's like, but other than that, Todd, in 2,000 years, 2,500 years, it ain't been a lot of change here.
No, and that's a big part of why people go to these games. Listen, to me, it's a game of real estate, right? and we're trying to get yours. You're trying to take ours. Offense, defense, bring the pain. Bring the pain.
I'm going to say something here that actually might, I don't know whether it's not really, outrageous or anything, but what you're seeing, and that's, you saw it originally where I first noticed it was when I used to do some of the broadcasting for the Arena Football League. You're seeing football gradually morph into a basketball, because it's when you think about it, it's passing. Basketball, passing the ball around, getting the open shot, passing, catching the ball, and starting the game, screening people off, which is obviously the offensive lineman screening people, trying to take.
Right.
And when you see, and I noticed this, when you see players, at least, and maybe they're just so much tougher, I don't know, there seem to be more injuries, but when you see players out there that don't have one pad in their pants,
right,
I just got to go, something ain't right. Something ain't right. There is something missing in this game where these guys aren't getting just pummeled and they can't play the next week because they got Charlie horses or, that is the first sign, And you got guys now, they're basically, they might as well be wearing shorts or tights.
Right.
That just go
like
up.
bicycling.
And they do it, and where they actually, their socks come up over their knee and the pants stop above the knee. And I'm going, look, son, you want to play like that back in the 70s and the 50s, 60s? Have we got a deal for you?
You won't be around long.
It ain't gonna be pretty. I'll tell you, you will be changing your tune within 1 week.
Well, speaking of deals and the passing game, let's get into the Washington football team and a signing of one Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzmagic comes to town, which when I heard about this last week on vacation, it was a head scratcher, a real head scratcher to me. What were your thoughts?
Well, I would agree with that. It's kind of like that. I mean, are they done, or are they still looking for something else? Because obviously, of course, you don't know the terms of the contract. It's $10 million a year, I think is what I saw, something along those lines. Which means that maybe, and there's probably some obvious guaranteed money in there. I don't know exactly where they're on the cap level and all that. But I think that, as Joe Gibbs used to say, he's super smart. And the reason I say that, didn't he score the highest score ever? He had a perfect Wonderlic.
Well, he is a Harvard man.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I think he did have the highest score ever on a Wonderlic test, which I thought, Wonderlic, that was, you got something at a whorehouse or something, a Wonderlic. I'm like, hey, put me in line for this. But that's a whole different story. So, you don't know what you're going to. In one sense, it's kind of intriguing because, he can throw the ball 50 times a game with the best of them. He might throw 4 interceptions, maybe 5. He may throw 5 touchdown passes, and he may throw 4 interceptions and 5 touchdown passes. He's all over the place. You don't know what you're going to get. But
boy,
at the
is
same
he
time,
not like a box of chocolates.
Huh? Yeah, exactly what he is. This would probably be his, 6th team maybe?
I like him personally. I like his style. I like his approach to it. He's
I don't have.
He knows he's a paid mercenary.
If you don't know that by now, then he ain't super smart.
I just don't get it within the context of this team that they feel. So,
well, what were you going to do? Draft? You're going to go back to the draft?
You got to do something. A free agent, somebody. But he's replacing Alex Smith, except he's got 2 good legs and a better arm. Is that the play? Who's your number 1? Is it Kyle Allen?
Well, I think that Kyle Allen will be groomed for that spot. But once again, you're right. It is a head scratcher. That I just don't think the other shoe's dropped. I think there's something out there, maybe another deal to be made or something like that.
So you got Taylor Heineke, you got Kyle Allen.
Right, but both of them would seem to me, the rap on them are injury prone.
Injury prone, and we don't know who the hell we got.
Right,
Neither one of them has done anything.
But think about this. If your defense is new and improved, which, you look at last year, there were times when this defense, it was like a mirage in a way that
they would lock them down when it didn't really matter.
Well, yeah, they knocked them down too when it really did matter, but they also got knocked down when it did matter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There was, once again, kind of like Ryan Fitzpatrick, the box of chocolates. You never knew on Sunday what you were going to get. But I'm thinking that, after a year, they got everybody coming together here, and they're going to fill in some other spots. My guess is Ron Rivera is a defensive coach. If he has the number one defense in the league, and you line up against him, and you're going to be real fortunate if you can score 20 points, then all of a sudden you're going back. It's kind of weird, but the more it changes, the more it stays the same. Who else coached like that in the league?
So he's going back to 85
George
Bears?
Allen.
Yeah.
No, he's going back to the 72 Washington football team, 71, where you put whoever you put out there, just don't lose the game.
Right.
The defense will win the game. It's been done once before because the Baltimore Colts did it, and to a certain extent the 85 Bears did it. And there's been some hellacious defenses over the years that certainly are in that same mold. I just can't think of them right now. I mean, you always, with the Giants, the Cowboys, and Phil, these defenses from a running back's perspective were always nightmares, but maybe they didn't get the same acclaim that these other teams have as far as winning Super Bowls. But that's probably the theory right now, and then the other part of this, then as I'm doing all this talking, I'm thinking, well, then what do they have at running back? They've got some young guys, but once again, they're not. I don't think they're going to line up and try and pound the football because they got holes in the offensive line right now. As far as and running the football is not really in vogue.
They didn't do that last year when they were desperate to,
and when they should have.
When they were desperate to. We saw that with Alex Smith. What better way to at least give him some type of relief and confidence in that?
Right now, Right now, you'd have to say the WTF or WFT is an enigma. It's hard to say what's going to happen, and always it's true with any team for the most part. But I would say, is the arrow pointing up or is it pointing down? I don't know. I don't think it's pointing at all.
It's kind of
exactly.
It's kind of like.
Well, I guess that would be the position.
Okay, is this a backup insurance policy?
That's kind of what I thought. I looked at it as that they're going to need somebody just in case, somebody that can manage. Once again, the key word here: manage a football game. I mean, and he's the. I mean, do they have all the weapons? They've developed a few new guys out wide.
No question.
So they do have some weapons over there, and you never know. I mean, my guess is actually, right now he's Plan A. Right now he's Plan A. Because he has the experience, and I'm guessing if they can go to training camp, I'm thinking he will probably emerge from training camp as the guy, unless, like I said before, there's another shoe to drop. I don't know.
Well, we'll be checking.
I think I feel a shoe dropping on us. Right
a little bit of a shoe is going to be dropping. We got a really fun podcast that we're going to be producing and showing to you all next week, where we took a tour down at Quantico Marine Corps Base. It is a lot of fun, and we will keep an eye on what's Beth Wilkinson and the inevitable report whenever that's going to drop, and see what happens. Let me ask
you a question there before we jump off. How could this get leaked out about 3 weeks ago now?
Right.
This big beefy story, like, ooh, there's something brewing, and then all of a sudden, and I will say, and we mentioned this before we started the podcast today, that Deshaun Watson, what's going on with him, I would think is not going to be a good thing for what's going on with the Washington football team and what happened there. In other words, you're just bringing attention to the very thing that people are, and you might as well throw the governor of New York in there.
Yeah.
Governor Cuomo.
And listen, this TV deal that we let off with, the NFL sucked all the oxygen out of the room with the start of the NCAA basketball tournament in their pandemic, because this was so mind-blowing that the NFL, this dominated the news the day before the start of the NCAA tournament. So they've got the virtual workouts going on with these guys now. They did announce that they're going to hold the draft in Cleveland with a live. They're going to allow fans in, and they're going to bring in select few players for the draft. So they got their schedule announcement. So the theater that is the NFL and their timeline, this is a dead period right now where I expect this report to come out, because the start of the new league season, you got all this good news, and you don't want to,
I would think you'd slip the report out before this, then come with the big news and just kind of sweep it under the rug, like usurp the whole that news cycle, kind of let it out at the same time or whatever. Well, not necessarily at the same time. By the way, just out of curiosity, how many basketball games have you watched?
You know,
You've watched.
I have.
I can see.
I
You didn't
have.
I haven't seen one game.
I have.
What's wrong with you, Todd?
Watched the bunch down in Florida. We hang with the boys and checking out the bar scene, all that. Watched the Maryland game
That's
last
so
night.
passe.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I don't enjoy it like I used to.
Isn't it funny how it changes?
All.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, the college game has changed too, and we'll do this for another show. But the one and done, where a player leaves after 1 year, can you believe that Duke can't?
Didn't even make the tournament.
And well,
What's Krzyzewski
Duke,
doing?
Kentucky, and who's the
Kentucky
other-
didn't make it either?
Did not make it. It's the first time. But I will tell you that the stat, Kansas got blown out last night. I think it's their third
Where'd
worst.
they play their football team?
I think they played USC. It's the third, their third worst loss ever. I mean, they got smoked by I think over 30-something points. But it's the first time that Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, and there's another big school
Are not even in
that
it.
I'm leaving it that did not make the Sweet 16 since this expanded field. I think started in 1985.
Yeah, but Duke wasn't even in the tournament.
Duke
were they?
was not in the tournament.
Yeah.
Kentucky was not in the tournament.
Right, they were gone
so
before it started.
that's where the one and done, allowing these guys to turn.
Are they playing
pro.
in the NIT, by the way?
They are.
They are playing
Sadly.
the NIT.
We're
Did Duke go to the
75.
NIT?
No.
Didn't even make that.
No.
All right, that's it. The shoe has fallen. Riggo out.